Welcome back to AgriTalk as we wrap up our Farm Progress Show preview series brought to you by Syngenta. National Events Manager for Farm Progress, Matt Jungmann, joins us. Matt, it's you look around behind us and people can hear, wow, you know the show is almost here.
Yeah, I love the smell of canvas and wood chips in the morning. It's starting to look and feel a lot like the show is just around the corner.
I tell this story all the time, but it's true. Every year at my house, whenever I do some landscaping and I bring out a bag of mulch and I put it down, as soon as I smell that, I immediately think of the Farm Progress Show.
That's exactly right. That's something that even though we've gone to these permanent sites, I'm not sure that that's something that we'll ever get completely away from, because and it's a utility thing, because if you walk on this grass, as much traffic as we get it, and a little rain would make it slick. So it's good to have it. The other option that's really expanded here is all the gravel that exhibitors have put on their lot, and that really gives them a firm footing. Like you had Don Hartz on a little bit ago from Case IH, and he has a fully rocked lot, and I know that makes his life a lot easier for setup.
Okay, tell us how much is done now, how this will kind of play out over the next several days.
Well, I think that we're approaching at the point where all the big tents are almost completely up. The order of things are that the tent goes up, and then the electrician comes in and runs the electricity to wherever it says they need it on the map, on the exhibit layout. And then the landscaper comes in and does their work. And then the exhibit houses bring in the actual exhibits and begin construction. And then the company people like Doug that you had on earlier, they'll come in and put the finishing touches on things and come in and staff it during the show. So we're about halfway through that process. The big tents are all up. The electrician's really moving around and getting a lot of that work done. The landscapers are about half done with their work. And in terms of the equipment, I don't think that even 5% of the actual iron is here yet. We have this little 3-acre patch here where we're staging it currently that's going to be the ride and drive area when showtime rolls around, but I would think that by the end of this week that lot will be completely filled and we'll start moving it on to exhibits.
How much earlier is setup done now? And I realize it varies by exhibitor, but how much earlier does it start getting done now as opposed to when you did not have permanent site?
Well, it's different now because we can just roll in. Mark Lovig comes in basically right after the hay show in mid to late June. He'll be here, and he has to be here to stake out all the exhibits so that the tent companies and landscapers can get a start on things. So that particular component of it has started a lot earlier. That used to just start 2 weeks before the show. Now that starts a month and a half ahead of the show. But we're not here all winter and spring ahead of time stringing in the power lines and all that kind of thing like we used to. So it's actually cut time out of the schedule, but the exhibitors are putting up much more intricate, larger exhibits. So the setup that's going on exhibitor-wise has gotten a lot earlier.
Well, unless it's raining during the show itself, we heard from David Bricks that the corn will be ready to harvest, which was a big question earlier in this year.
That's exactly right. I actually I got a text message that there was a hand sample at 23.5% late last week. So that bodes really well for us being able to harvest corn. So like you say, assuming we don't get some interruption by Mother Nature right there at showtime, we should be set to go. I sent out an email to all of our sales staff to let their clients, their exhibitors know that they could go ahead and load the semis and get the machinery headed this way because we were for certain going to have corn to harvest.
And the field demonstrations take place at what time during the show?
The combining demonstration kicks off at 11, and then we take a break over the lunch hour and then have tillage demonstrations at 2 o'clock. So every day the schedule is the same, so you won't miss anything by coming one day versus another.
People can actually buy their tickets online, right?
You can do that at farmprogressshow.com. You can buy advance tickets at a discount. You can't use the credit card at the gates, but you can use your credit card to buy advance tickets through the website. You can also buy concert tickets there. We have a really cool mapping feature on there so you can plot your day at the show. And now that the show program's gone to print, we're starting to feed the website full of new content from the show program. We also have a full-time person that just started this week that's dedicated to keeping our social presence. Jessica is going to be working on keeping the Facebook and Twitter feeds constant, and if you have any questions, she'll be right there to answer them.
Over the years, there have been a lot of politicians come to the Farm Progress Show, especially when the show's during an election year. You, Farm Progress, has not sought them. They have always sought you. And kind of wondering if this year might be the same, but you tell me so far you haven't heard from any.
Usually, if it's somebody really big, we would have gotten some whispers or we'd have heard something by now. So I don't know that we're gonna have anything, but You kind of have to qualify that, because if you get this many voters in one place, politicians tend to follow. So we don't know of anybody coming for sure, but that could change at the drop of a hat.
Which changes your life, because logistically that brings a whole new ball game in.
That it certainly does. It's like you say, we certainly don't seek them out. They kind of come to us, which is a good position to be in, because if we were seeking them out, we would have to kind of go by some of their demands. But we try to make sure that if they do come, it's as least disruptive as possible.
Are you happy with where things are as we sit here on the 18th of August? Are you happy with the way things are?
Absolutely. Mark and the crew that actually do the work of putting the show together have done a fantastic job, and I think that the landscapers and the folks that do the work here on the site, they typically have a couple of rain days built into their schedule, and they haven't had a rain day, so they're in pretty good shape right now. We could stand some rain. I think for David and Keith's beans, we could stand a rain, and some of these guys that have been working hard could maybe stand a day off.
Yeah. There have been advantages to it not raining. You've been able to get a lot done for the show. I know you're also relieved that the temperatures have eased off some.
The temperatures have eased off, made it a lot more pleasant to be out here getting this work done. It just generally, when the sun's shining and the weather's pleasant, everybody's in a good mood, and so it's been a lot of fun to this point getting everything put together.
For those that attended the show 2 years ago here in Decatur, will they see much different this time?
Yeah, a lot of the exhibits have moved around. A lot of them are bigger. We've added 12th Street. We've added exhibits all the way up to the fence. So there's a whole other row of exhibits that have been added, and it certainly is. It'll be a different show than what they saw 2 years ago, and most of that is credited to the exhibitors, the Syngenta and Case, and the folks that bring in all the new things.
Do you anticipate a number of international guests again this year?
In 2009, when we were here, we had international visitors from 57 countries, and as with the value of our dollar, it makes our exports look pretty cheap. So I would anticipate that we will have a lot of international visitors at this show.
We know it's especially challenging time for those in the livestock sector, but there's a lot of optimism in the grain sector with the way grain prices have been, and that I'm sure will be reflected here at the show.
I'm sure it would. The funny thing is, we don't have a bumper crop going out there, and that will probably temper the optimism a little bit. But it's nice to get those updates on your phone and see corn prices where they are and bean prices where they are, and I think that will reflect a really good attitude out here at the show.
And although you're concerned about the heat, the move to the end of August has really worked well to try to not be in conflict with farmers' harvest back home.
Well, yeah. However, I'm starting to hear that maybe some combines would be rolling at showtime, which is what we're trying to get away from. But year in, year out, this is a good time for us to have the event, and it's been dry and everything's starting to burn up a little bit. So I wouldn't mind some rain. And this place it has great drainage. And you walk around in the parking lot, and there's some cracks out there in that parking lot you could lose a yardstick in. So rain isn't going to really slow us down. It'd have to be a lot to mess anything up.
Yeah, you're right. Weather conditions have probably moved a lot of farmers' harvest schedule up some too. So hopefully they'll still be able to come to this year's show. As always, thanks a lot. We'll see you in less than 2 weeks.
Great to see you, Mike. Thank you.
All right, Matt Jungmann, National Events Manager for Farm Progress. Thanks to him for all of his hospitality. Thanks to Syngenta for sponsoring our preview series. Thanks to folks at FBI for letting us broadcast from their building. Thanks for being with us on our Farm Progress Show preview series in Decatur. This is AgriTalk.